Brindam, it's 3 p.m. We shall start.
Okay, sir, stop sharing.
Good afternoon, everyone. On behalf of SAIARD, I, Orindam Ray, the Program Director of SAIARD, welcome all of you on the 4th day of Faculty Development Program on Research Methodology, jointly organized by CPDHE, University of Delhi, and SAIARD. The first topic that will be discussed today is research paper publication and plagiarism by Dr. Shumanta Datta. Dr. Shumanta Datta at present is an assistant professor in the postgraduate and research department of commerce, St. Xavier's College, Kolkata. He has over 18 years of experience in teaching and research. He has a large number of research papers to his credit and presented numerous papers in various national and international conferences. He has contributed 3 edited books on case book, 1 research book also over there. He has written a book on strategic management for postgraduate students at all India levels. A researcher by choice, he is an editorial board member of various national and international journals. His work has been cited well both in SSRN top 10 download list as well as in Google Scholar for his outstanding contribution in the field of marketing research. He got the National Education Leadership Award in 2019. I would request Dr. Shumanta Datta to deliver his speech. Dr. Shumanta Datta, over to you.
Good afternoon to all. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Hello.
Yes, you are audible.
Okay. Good afternoon, all. And very nice that to see that all research scholars, faculty members across India are present here, and we are going to interact on our topic, which is very much vibrant, a burning issue, not only from the viewpoint of a researcher, but as well as for the viewpoint of the faculty members as well. So in this context, I thanks all the participants for participating in the process of interaction, as well as particularly the SAIARD and the Center for Professional Development in Higher Education, University of Delhi, for their joint collaboration and to make such a nice 5 days faculty induction program on this research methodology workshop. Okay, I'm directly coming to the topic which I'm going to present in the next 1 hour. My topic is a publication of research paper and a plagiarism issue. Okay, now what happened? I am taking most of the part from my own forthcoming book, Research and Publication Ethics in Social Science, okay, which is going to be published in the month of January. And SAIARD is also a knowledge partner with me, along with the Bharti publication. So I am taking most of the things from my own book so that I can share some of my opinion with you regarding that. Now, when we are coming to this concept of publication of research paper and plagiarism issue, but prior to that, I try to focus on the basic concept of the new education policy. If we coming to the new education policy right now, what we have seen that new education policy are try to focus, throw some light on the 3 type of initiatives, particularly on the research intensive university, teaching university. The teaching university only focus on the teaching aspects, while the research intensive universities try to focus on research related activities beside only formal teaching. Other than that, there is some autonomous degree granting colleges. If the colleges will become autonomous, automatically just hold on. Sir, আমি আপনাকে 1 ঘন্টা পর ফোন করছি। আমি স্যার বলেছেন ওটা আমি আপনাকে আমি আপনাকে অ্যাকাউন্টে করব। So I think that by 2035, what happened, it is being directed in the policy that all the affiliated colleges under any university, there is a chance that they will secure an accreditation and becomes an autonomous degree colleges. If we go by the another point which is highlighted by the new education policy, they are focusing on the multidisciplinary education and research initiative. Okay, that is called MEDU. Why I am talking about all those things? Actually, by virtue in any means, if you go by the undergraduate course for 4 years, or if you go by the postgraduate course, going to be, if you are taking all those things, automatically what happens that research becomes a prime thing nowadays. From 2021 onwards, it becomes a mandatory for all university level, for research university, teaching university, autonomous college, and whatever they're coming in the near future, there is MERU, multidisciplinary education research. So our topic is more vibrant and relevant in the context in which we are discussing today. Now, in this now I am just giving you certain steps. It is based on my own experience, not only that you have to accept it, but yes, I am sharing based on my own past experience relating to this academic field and the field of research. I identified some of the problems faced by the researcher as well as some postgraduate level students, because since I am teaching in the postgraduate level, so I hope that it will be helpful for all the new researcher as well as some junior faculty members who will start doing their research in this context, I hope. So why we undertake the research? First, that one is very important, that is clear at the very beginning. You are taking research because you know that, yes, I am getting a degree. Besides that, yes, you definitely get a degree, but why you are adopting research? Besides getting degree like MPhil or PhD, you are also somehow interested
Hello,
in.
sir. Hello, sir.
Yeah.
The sound is not
Yeah.
clear. The sound is not clear.
The sound is clear right now?
Yes, sir.
Can you hear me?
Now it is right.
Okay. Now,
Thank you, sir.
okay. Now, is it new? Okay. Whether your topic is new or interesting, that what I mean, everyone is doing on microfinance, say for example, or everyone is doing on the banking or non-performing asset, if you are in the commerce, okay, or in education, online education system right now. So is that the particular trend is new, or is that is very interesting? Is that strike the mind of the new coming researcher? Is the current topic is hot? Whether if you undertake a topic in the particular in the discipline of social science, to what extent the outcome having an impact in the social science literature. So if you are, most of the cases what happen, you know, when we are starting writing a particular article or a paper or research paper, then we never think about it, whether it is a hot topic or not. Whatever is being done, availability of the things, and then automatically we will undertake the research in accordingly of our choice. Okay, so have you provided solution to some difficult problems? Different way to solve the problems already solved by the early researcher? Are you ready to publish it at this point? Whether it is in the working in progress stage or whether it is a finish. If it is finished, then automatically you are looking for different strategy to publish it. And if it is in the work in progress, then there is a different way to publish it. I'm telling you all those things in the different steps, one by one. If answer of all the questions are yes, okay, then you can think about starting of your manuscript. This is step one. So interesting, hot topic. If you try to find out some possible solution of the having a topic of social relevance, and are you ready to publish it? In what form? That is very important. Okay. Now, what you want to write, that is the point I am focusing on. In relation to the step one, I try to focus on this. What you want to write, whether you are writing a review paper, review of the early research papers, or you want to write an article. Okay. If it is an article, or there is a difference between you are writing an article and you are writing a research article. If you're writing a research article, automatically it must be a full length, having some statistical application, qualitative papers or quantitative papers. You're writing a case study, whatever it may be, in any discipline, not only necessarily that only commerce and management are writing the case study. You can write in the sociology, political science, you can write a case study about a particular event in a different way, and try to publish it in an Ivy publication house. Okay. Or you are writing a review paper, review of the past papers, and then try to, on the form of reviewing the literature of the earlier papers. Okay, Like you can publish those papers in the marketing theory published by Emerald. So, or you are writing a letter to the editors or book review that you can write, book review, letter to editors. These are all acceptable for publication in the different reputed journals. Okay. Or whether you are writing a monograph or working paper. Okay. Here is the difference between a working paper and a monograph. If your paper is in a primary stage and in the initial stage of your technical studies going on, and you have uploaded the paper in from your institutional website. Okay, that is a very important thing. Working paper you cannot upload of your own. It should be uploaded by the respective faculty members through their institutional link. Okay, there is a case of publishing of monograph. Monograph is something like if you visit the website of the Madras School of Economics or something like IIM Ahmedabad, in some cases what happened, you can find out that they have published monograph. There's a difference between monograph and working paper. You publish working paper in your institutional website only for getting feedback from other academician, industrialist, or other eminent personality, so that they can review your paper, they can give you a comment, so that you can upgrade your paper, and later on you can publish it in a journal, or it maybe you can put it in the form of a conference proceedings, or you can present your paper in any international conference. That's a working paper. But if you are in a monograph, it's already a complete research article that you have identified a particular domain of area and you have worked upon it, and automatically you have done it. That particular finished paper, full length research paper that is being uploaded from your institutional website, okay, that is considered to be a monograph. So there is a fundamental difference. Working paper can be, after getting the feedback, you can upload it, you can revise it, and you can develop a full length paper. But in case of monograph, it is a full length paper already. But the only difference is similarity is that both are being published through institutional link, otherwise not. Now, if you are a scholar, if you are working in a defense scholar, I have seen last yesterday that different scholars are there from BHU and so many other institutes, reputed institutes. So if you're writing dissertation automatically for MPhil or PhD, whatever it may be, there's a different format we generally follow. I have given you a basic common format. Again, I am coming back to the papers once again. If you are writing a dissertation, the format generally what we follow in that way: first the cover page, the title page; second, certificate from the supervisor; declaration by the candidate; acknowledgement that you want to give to different parties or members from whose contribution is very much necessary in your life; plagiarism declaration by the candidate; preface; list of publication. If you publish anything, that you can give in the last of the part of the dissertation, or you can give it in the beginning part of your dissertation; list of all notation and abbreviation; content, that is the chapter-wise subdivision of your entire work, and then the entire chapter is being subdivided. Chapter 1, generally what we incorporate: introduction. We follow the same minimum this type of sequence, subject to the recommendation given by different mentor research guide. Okay, it will vary to a large extent. Okay, one is the introduction, second one is the one is the introduction, second one is a literature review. Then we try to find out the research gap. Then from the research gap, we try to generate some research question. From the research question, we try to identify the objective, every objective having a pertinence or relation to the research question. We have a hypothesis we will develop, and then we adopt the research methodology and limitation of the study. Now coming to the chapter 2, chapter 3, all are chapter 2 related to the context in which we are undertaking the research, and chapter 3 focus on the results we obtained by the candidate as per the instruction of the guide. Last part, the chapter 4 or maybe chapter 5, what happened in case of chapter 3, we can write the entire context and main result in chapter 3. Or if you have 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 objective, in some cases what happened, every objective you can develop one chapter for every objective. It is a very new trend. Every objective you can develop a one chapter. If your study is more in depth and need more statistical application, automatically for each objective you can develop your own, but subject to the permission and the instruction as and when you are received from your guide. Otherwise not. Otherwise we follow this general trend of social science. Conclusion and the future scope of study. And last one, APA style, that is 7th edition, not the 6th edition. I have written 6th edition. It was early there. Right now we are looking for APA style of 7th edition for writing the bibliography of references. Okay. Step 3, when we are coming to this point, what we are looking for actually, we have to look for the following: whether your topic is, how you select a topic for the purpose of your research or for the purpose of writing an article. First of all, whether the topic is relevant or not, or contemporary or not, to what extent it is have a high impact in society. Are you expertise in this field or not? If you're not expertise in the, don't write. Okay. Sometimes we have seen that teachers having expertise in one domain, writing papers with so many other people in the other domain. Don't do that. It will dilute your image over the years. Okay, over the decade. Okay, because you are not only for the current year, you have to sustain over a long period of time. So develop your expertise in the area of your interest, so that people can recognize that yes, Mr. X is expertise in this domain, and automatically we will give due recognition to that particular respected faculty member or the research scholar. Whether your topic is social relevant or not. Social relevance is very important, because sometimes when we submit our paper in Emerald or Scopus listed journal, we have to write the executive summary of it. Here, executive summary, we try to reveal some of the part of this social relevance, to what extent it must have a managerial application. Okay, and then sometimes we have to identify for whom I am writing, identify your target audience and verify their interest in this topic, and then develop your research interest in that area, which is similar to the area of your expertise. So identifying the target audience, and then you try to build up your area of your interest, and by virtue of utilizing your own expertise, is a very best way of topic selection. Now, what is the problem? When you try to select a topic selection, there are two types of problem arise. If you try to define your problem too broadly, okay. If you define the problem like consumer behavior in respect of online banking, okay. Consumer behavior in respect of online banking, okay. In that case, what happened? There arises the problem of error one, okay. So, but if you define the particular, which type of consumer, only the consumer in your locality, pan-India consumer, or a consumer with a particular demographic profile, it is not being specified. So most of the cases when we write consumer behavior, it is too broad. So too broad means it is nothing but an error one. If you define your research problem too narrowly, very specific, only in respect of or particular area, that is, in that case, your sample base must be very small. You cannot extend it to a large extent. Okay, you can extend it in later on by virtue of adopting another means of extending your research paper. So this is error two, because if the research problem is being defined very too narrowly. So these are the two types of error arise when we try to select the topic in the context of selection of a particular topic. Now, how we start then? What are the way to start or think about a particular topic? Okay, like we think about a brainstorming session. We can rate more and more papers, research ideas, which make and some papers, some idea generation papers from different other universities like HBR. We have a MITC one where we can get so many ideas. Even we can discuss, we can attend so many forums where the discussion is going on in different dimension, and automatically we get the idea, make a note of it, and automatically we try to think about this area. You can also go beyond your discipline. You can make your particular research area more interesting by virtue of adoption of this multidisciplinary concept, like management with sociology, consumer behavior, marketing with anthropology. That you can go. You can make a mix of both, so that you can make your area of research more vibrant and more implication, apply it for social relevance. Always ask question why I am adopting this research, whether it is relevant or not. Okay, think of things you are interested in. Above and all, everything whether you are truly interested into it. If you are interested into it, then only you will select the topic and start writing. Otherwise, don't do that. It will reduce your image over the period of time. Now, which source should I use? There are abundant number of resources are available online. So when we are searching for source, which source I will adopt? Check the few things. Is there a date of the particular paper? Is there a name of the particular paper, like journal name, the author name, or volume number? Everything is there or not? And is that the particular paper followed a rigorous peer-reviewed process or not? Okay, before it gone for a public or in available in the internet domain. So if that is not there, automatically you think twice before you select a particular paper for the purpose of using as a source of generating your new idea. This one is very, very important. You cannot take the help of a particular paper which is not dated, ND, not dated. Okay, you cannot think about a particular paper where the structure formatting there is some problem. You cannot select a particular where the referencing is wrong. Okay, you cannot select a where the methodology is not being done by the author, but it is still published in an international journal or national journal. Don't adopt those papers and don't consider those papers, because these are nothing but not useful for a new breed of researcher. If you think yourself is a vibrant researcher, don't go for that. Now, coming to the step 5, very important for us. Step 5, you know the literature review. I'm not going into depth. I'm going a little bit depth into this process because for the new breed of researcher, for those in the social science, this is very important for us. Why we review actually? Because we review, we try to identify that what already been done. Okay, what is already being done. Now, why? Because we show using past and present research to explore future. We try to make a relation between the past and present in order to explore our future possibility of our research that we have undertaken now at present. Identify the main idea. After evaluating all the papers, we try to get the idea. Whether we try to identify main methodology, what they have adopted, whether my methodology that maybe I am down the line, I'm thinking about adopting this particular method or methods. Is correct or not? Okay, this part is very important. This part is very important. Find other people who are working in your field. If you're working in the field of, say for example, women empowerment. So think about the people who are the people who are frequently publishing their papers in the field of women empowerment and try to connect with them. Try to collect all those papers published by a particular author or researcher, and try to incorporate those. Make a communication with those particular person over mail or over phone and try to communicate with them so that you can get a network of yourself. And last of all, objective of all literature review is to find out the research gap. So this is a basic important part of literature review, how we go for it. In most of the cases, what happened, like if you're writing a particular paper and try to submit it in, say for example, in a Scopus listed journal or in an Emerald or in the Science journal, what they always think about, they try to get something from your literature review. They check the literature review very prominently. Okay, say for example, you are writing a paper for a publication in an international journal, but don't, at that time what happened, don't review local papers too much. Don't review regional papers too much. Try to review international papers across the global context so that to make your paper more relevant. Otherwise, it is not being accepted in a due course of time. Try to highlight from your paper certain key points. Point number 1, highlight the contradicting viewpoints. This part is possible if you have an in-depth, you have made an in-depth study of the literature review. Otherwise, this identifying the contradictory viewpoint of the different authors is not possible for a newcomer or new researcher to get through it. Okay, now what they have adopted and what you are adopting for the purpose of your coming research, the papers that you have accepted and why. Okay, now third very important, what are the variables they have adopted for the purpose of their earlier study? How it has been studied, in which context and what type of variables they have used and which variables you are using right now. Okay, this part is another very important, that which variable you are using. This is the important part of managing your literature. Now, how you frame your review, literature review? Generally, we can review the papers in a 3 possible way. Okay, if we are a research scholar like PhD scholar or MPhil scholar, we try to presenting our literature review chronological, that's the middle part. Useful examining on a period of time, like 2020, 2019, 2018, 17, 16, 15, 14 in that way. Sometimes it is possible like dividing the literature according to the theme or category wise. Theme category wise, what does it mean? Like say for example, impact of visual merchandising on the consumer purchase behavior. Impact of visual merchandising, that is visual merchandising incorporate so many things like light, color, music, decoration, everything. So how all those variables are reviewed, have a different review, like how many research has been focused on the light, how many research focused on the music and its impact on consumer behavior. So all these things should necessarily to be evaluated separately. So here it is written, dividing the literature according to the theme or category wise. This is another way. Or explore the theoretical methodological research. This part is possible in respect of the qualitative research, mainly in respect of theoretical base. Okay, we try to explore the body of literature in the context where there exists no more empirical study. Particularly in the domain of case study, we can apply this exploring the theoretical methodological literature. Okay, now there are different possible ways we can adopt a literature review. There are two possible ways we can adopt. One is called a traditional and a narrative method. There is a slight difference between traditional method and I'm giving you an example so that you can understand it. Say, for example, I'm using this literature review. Okay, like a particular author, Digger and Gordon, has published in the 96, how I have evaluated. In the past form, I have evaluated this, how many companies they have taken, how many industries they have covered, which period they have covered, how many companies, and what is the identify the major variables. If I write in a paragraph form, 1996, then 1995, 1994, 1993, there is a chronological order. That is a traditional format of reviewing the literature. But nowadays, when you are writing a paper for targeting in the international journal or a Scopus listed journal or UGC category journal, okay, then automatically you are looking for a narrative form of literature review. Narrative form of literature review is very much useful when you try to show the relationship between these things. See the point? Highlighting the contradicting viewpoints, highlighting the contradictory viewpoints and the level which the study has been focused. So if that is there, then if we can go for this type of this called narrative form of literature. In every line, you have supported with some other authors. Okay, that means every particular line have a relationship with the different authors who have published their research and show the similarity or dissimilarity. If you can do that, it is a narrative form of literature. Because when you are writing your introduction part or when you are writing your body of your paper and when you're writing your chapter 2 for dissertation, most of the cases, we generally prefer a narrative form of literature review. These are one of the most upgraded form of literature review that you can adopt in social science. Okay. Also, there is another way, as per the guide. If the guide is being instructed you can adopt a systematic way of literature review. In a systematic literature review, how you can adopt? There's a check I have shown you in the next slide. This check. You can write in that way. You can write the author's name in the left-hand side along with the year of publication. Then the purpose of the study they have adopted. What is the purpose of the particular topic that is given in the top of the table 1? Which method they have adopted. You can also subdivide this third column into another two category: the sample size, period of study, and the statistical tool adopted. Again, I am telling you the third column, the method and data, that you can subdivide into 3 parts: the sample size, the period of study, and the statistical tools that you have adopted. And last of all, the next column, that is the 6th column, the findings and the implication. Okay, the relation between variables. If you write down in that way, what happened when if you start your exercising from the very beginning of your writing, it may be an article, it may be a research paper, or it may be a monograph, working paper, or it may be a thesis. It will help you a lot while showing the relationship with different authors, the similarity and dissimilarity. It will helpful for you in order to make your narrative form of literature review in your own language more easily rather than any other method that you can adopt. So systematic literature has its own relevance. Sometimes if you are not adopting systematic literature review, you are using a narrative form or traditional format. Still, if you can apply in a separate exercise copy, you can use this systematic review. It will help you a lot in drafting your entire article more consolidated way. You can adopt any other form. This is very new. It's called gray literature, but not new, but the term is maybe new. Gray literature. Okay. Like for example, if a hard copy of the conference proceedings of a particular state university you came across, from the hard copy of the conference proceeding, a particular area is very interesting for you, and you try to incorporate that paper into your literature review. That you can adopt. You can go to your university library where the MPhil and PhD theses are there that you can use for the purpose of your referencing. These are all called unpublished thesis and dissertation. These are all called gray. But if you want to study that gray literature availability in your subject, you can go to the Google, search the Google, and you can go for open gray system. system. And from the open array, you can search that whether a relevant topic is available in the field of your research or not. You can also consult some researcher who are in the field who is working, maybe an NGO organization or maybe some other particular individual person who is working on that particular topic, okay, over a couple of years. Then you try to contact with that particular person personally and then collect the data informally and put it in your research. That is possible. That is called gray literature. Okay. Or you can go to some particular agency like RBI or some other organization, IMRB, and you can collect the data and put the paper, all the information into your topic. This is all those things, all those type of method gray literature review. So you can adopt a traditional format, a narrative format, a systematic literature review, or you can adopt a gray literature review. But there is no demarcation between all those things. When you're reviewing the literature, you cannot write this is the traditional, this is narrative or systematic. You have to write in a single or particular narrative form, that which method you're adopting. You just cite or reference at the end of your paper. Okay. If you are a student or particular in the field of PhD, you can also, I can suggest that you please go and visit the Shod Ganga and Reservoir of Indian Thesis from InflipNet. I have incorporated some of the theme information. See, if I check the InflipNet information of commerce and management, I have cited the name of the university and the number of theses, full thesis available in commerce and management. And so many other theses also available in the field of social science, science, social science, everything, education, history, anthropology, sociology, political science, everything is available. So if you do not have an idea about how to write a thesis, please check Shod Ganga for the purpose of further referencing. Okay. Now I'm focusing on that you are interested to review papers. How you find the papers for you? How you know that which papers you will review actually? So there is some visual tools that you can adopt in your academic research paper writing. By virtue of that, you can explore academic research paper in the field of your interest. Okay, and this is a particular free tool anyone can adopt. If you are in social science, you can adopt this. It is a very good tool to use this. Now, what you have to do, it is very difficult that how I find out the credible source of the papers that I need for my research. So please go connect papers. Okay, you can go to the connected papers, which is a free tool in order to overcome the problems of getting research paper in the area of your interest. Suppose you are working on a particular that organizational development or high performing organization. So how you get relevant papers or the particular papers who are written by the different authors across globe on that particular topic, and how you get, go to the connected papers, a free tool which is available. Okay, and then automatically you can resolve some of your most of the problems of getting papers in the area of your interest which are high relevant. Okay, how you do that? Step one, you just click on this connected papers, and in the connected papers you please write down in the left hand side of the build a graph. There, the left hand side, the term is there. You can write down the paper name as well as the name of the author. Okay, once you get one paper, you write down the name of the particular paper as well as the title of the paper, or you can write down the particular name of the paper in the area of your interest, and then the name of the paper as well as the author name. Then click on the build a graph. You can also get the information from the DOI. Okay, digital objective identifier. If you have a DOI, you can put this DOI and click on the button called build a graph. Automatically what happened next, you will get that, say I have written a particular paper of my own, triple bottom line reporting and innovative accounting initiative. So once I click on it, I have written this thing in the topic and I have searched, click on the particular button called build a graph. I got this information. So this is the graph. Here are certain things. Here the connected papers are given and the knot is given. Every knot is given and it is being put by different colors. Colors indicating the years, knots are indicating the size of the different type of papers are available in that context. And there is an arrow of connecting links are showing the interconnectivity between that. These are similar papers, they have a relevance. You can adopt this particular paper, okay, and the year is given. So in that way, you can resolve one of our best problem in your research is the how you get relevant papers for literature review. When you follow those things, automatically what happened that yes, In the third page, what do you think? In the graph, every note is an academic paper, okay, to the origin paper. Note size, that is, if the note size is large, means now the citation is being made on that particular paper is huge. Okay, note color indicating the year of publishing. So automatically, and all the similar papers are connected with a line. Okay, that they are creating a cluster together. So automatically, by that you are getting all those information. How many, which paper have been cited more, which color, that is color indicating the year of publication, and a similar type of paper are connected with a line. So automatically you will get the connecting link. If you click on it, automatically you will see the particular paper. You can write down, or you can and you can go for another link and you can get the paper and download the particular paper. So it's in that way, the connected papers help you a lot in resolving one of your main problem of getting research paper. Now, when you are looking for drafting a script, okay, for writing an article or a good research paper, again, the main thing, where the relevance of the topic, like Atmanirbhar Bharat, ease of doing business, education challenge in the post-COVID-19 scenario in India. Okay, don't use jargon, use your flawless writing of your own, so that you can easily communicate the matter in a more lucid way to the other academicians or the people for whom you are writing. You are not writing your paper only for yourself, okay, and put the particular journal in your bookshelf. Okay, you are writing something only for the purpose of communicating for your students or for the purpose of greater community. So write a manuscript which is a logical and flawless, or that is in a lucid manner, so that you can clearly transmit the information what you want to convey. That is a strategy 7 you can adopt. Strategy 8, how you manage your manuscript. Generally, what happened when we have seen a particular paper, that we have seen that we have written the title, name of the authors, professional details, abstract, keywords, and then main context, main text, including introduction, literature review, research gap, objective, and the end of the paper with a conclusion. That we are generally right. But what happened? For example, in so many cases, I have also seen, I have also noticed for my students as well, that what happened, that when they are interested to start writing a paper, sir, there is a national conference very soon, so can I submit my abstract right now? This is a very wrong approach. It's a very wrong approach. It's a very wrong approach, because I cannot write an abstract until and unless I complete the entire paper. Okay, so my suggestion is that, is my suggestion, you may adopt, you may not adopt, it is up to you, because all of you are knowledgeable, research-minded person, so I cannot put something on you. It is I'm just sharing my own opinion with you, so that you can understand it, whether it is correct or not. Most of the cases, what happens, this is we have generally followed. We start writing an abstract, we submit it. Once the paper abstract get accepted, then we start writing the paper. Okay, but actually our rule is that first develop combining this 1 and 2, what we have adopted, what method adopted, what we have found, all the figures and tables, and we try to jot down the results and the conclusion what we draw. Then we try to write down the introduction. Once the entire paper is completed to the fullest possible extent, then we start writing the abstract within 300 words. Okay, including the keywords. Then only we are eligible to submit our particular paper in a particular conference, maybe national, international, or for a particular paper for the publication. So if we not do that, we are not abide by some ethical way of managing our own paper. Okay, now coming to this ethical side, ethics in research. Okay, I think Lalit Joshi in a couple of days ago, we focused on this particular ethics. So Lalit is my very good friend. So ethics in research, actually, I try to focus on 4 types of concept: research, researcher, subject, and the sponsoring body. If some institute or university is providing you some sponsor, please recognize those. Please select a particular subject, not already being studied extensively by the others or early researcher. Try to select your area of your interest, which is somehow from the others. You are a researcher. You are a researcher. Obviously, you have to give respect to the following things of authorship. Okay, there are 3 types of authorship is there. Okay, ghost, guest, and gift authorship. Ghost means someone has written some part of your paper, but you want to take the entire credit of your paper, and that is why you have not mentioned the name of that person. Okay, you just try to avoid the name of the person. Actually, it is an unethical practice. Ethics always comes from your heart. No one can teach you ethics, so I cannot teach you ethics. So what I can tell you, please follow the rule. When you are a researcher, maybe you are a faculty member, senior faculty member, maybe HOD, or maybe you are a young researcher. If someone help you a lot, please try to recognize that particular person. If you're not recognized, this will go ghost authorship. Guest authorship, if sometimes what happened, a particular researcher or faculty members, any one of the faculty members, we try to incorporate the name of a very prominent faculty or senior professor, only why? Because I know that if I incorporate the name of that particular person, automatically there is a chance that my paper will automatically get accepted. This is called guest authorship. This is unethical practice from the viewpoint of the COPE. Okay, Committee on Publication Ethics. Okay, another point is that gift authorship. Okay, since I am a researcher, I'm working under a particular supervisor, okay, or a particular HOD, or I am working in a particular institution. So I try to respect my dean, I try to respect my HOD or senior faculty member or professor. That's why I'm just incorporating his name or her name. It is called gift authorship. He or she has no contribution at all, but I'm incorporating that as a mark of respect to that person. So this is a gift authorship. It is also an illegal, actually, it is also an illegal. Actually, when you are trying to send your paper in a very reputed journals, in the international journals, peer-reviewed process, Emerald or Scopus listed journals like Taylor and Francis or Blackwell, automatically they want the detailing of the authorship, who is the author and who has contributed what. Otherwise, this type of problem may come. So we have to overcome those problems in ethics in research. This is called ghost, guest, and gift authorship from the viewpoint of the researcher. Researcher must be very careful about that issue. Coming to the term plagiarism, I think Lalit Joshi has focused on this term plagiarism in a more. It is an academic dishonesty and a breach of ethics. It is also applicable for authorship. When I'm using some published, unpublished ideas or theses of words or jargons of the other author and proclaiming that no, that particular terms and jargon I have used for the first time, actually not you have used for the first time, it is already being used by some person. So that is also a plagiarism, but I cannot trace that particular thing because it's not possible for me to read all the jargons across the globe. So it is you will give due recognition of the particular person whom we are not aware of. It is your responsibility. And that is why how you are ethical to the maximum possible extent. Okay, there are all some free plagiarism detection tools are there, except the last two, Authenticate and Turnitin. These are paid software. Other than some of them are free, some of them are paid. Like Viper, you can use Viper plagiarism. Those who are in the early stage of their research, they can check, they can write, and they can check their portion that whether it is plagiarized or not with the help of those things like PaperRater, QText, CopyLeak, Plagiarisma, check for plagiarism.net. Some part is free, some part is paid. Duplicator is totally free. You can check the particular plagiarism duplicator. So anything you can use for the purpose of plagiarism checking. Some is free, some is paid. But if you try to use professionally and try to submit your paper in international journals, a Scopus listed journal, try to review your paper through Authenticate or Turnitin. Okay. Now, which one is type of plagiarism? Word by word copying, use of some of the particular unique terms and concept already used by some others. Paraphrasing, I will explain on the term paraphrasing. Paraphrasing is allowed by the UGC, but paraphrasing actually means if you keep the idea and the main essence of the earlier researcher intact and write in your own language, then it is a paraphrasing. Paraphrasing is allowed by UGC as per the Act 2018 is concerned. But if you make a total copy and paste, then it is a plagiarism. It is not a paraphrasing. If you make a false citation, you are not getting the citation at all, or you forget to make a note of it in your exercise copy, and then automatically you are creating a false citation. Automatically, that is a plagiarism. False data is also plagiarism. Unacknowledged the multiple submission. This is very common to us. You have write a paper, you have submitted a particular paper in a national conference very close to your vicinity of your area. Now you try to modify the same paper, just change the title and put the same paper in an international journal for publication. Okay, in your area, okay, or in some other state. and it is being accepted for publication. So same paper you have published, presented in the national conference, and same paper you have submitted in the international journal for the purpose of, it is nothing but unacknowledging the multiple submission. It is necessary on your part to, at the end, you have to write that this paper already presented in this national conference held on. If you make this, automatically you can avoid some of the problems of your self-plagiarism or double submission. So unacknowledged multiple submission, unacknowledged multiple authors, you cannot recognize. These are all fall under the unethical practice, a breach of your ethics from the point of view. So now UGC has their own recommendation as per the 2018 Act is concerned, that they have identified the plagiarism into four levels: 0, 1, 2, and 3. Up to 10% there is no penalty, 10 to 40, 40 to 60, and 60% and above for plagiarism. Okay, but in case of their plagiarism is, however, differ for the research scholars and a faculty member differently. If you're a research scholar, MPhil or PhD, then if your plagiarism is being detected, if you submit a paper in any journal and it is being detected your plagiarism is less than 10%, then there is no penalty for it. Or in respect of your PhD thesis or MPhil thesis, if your level of plagiarism is for 10% and above and 40% up to, then your manuscript must be revised by the department and extend it for another month, another 6 months. Okay, but if your similarity is 40 to 60%, okay, you are debarred from submitting your revised script for a period of 1 year. And if your similarity is above 60%, registration for such student for the program shall be cancelled. It is totally depends on the policy adopted by your department as well as your institution. But for the faculty members, if we got in plagiarism, up to 10% there is no penalty. If we have a 10% to 40%, we have to withdraw the manuscript for further publication in the journal. If we have 40 to 60% similarity that is being caught by any authority or particular journal, and the particular journal authority has intimated the matter to your institution, what happened? You will lose one annual increment, and you are not in a position to supervise a master's degree or MPhil or PhD scholars for a period of 2 years. If your similarity found 60% and above, and the matter is being informed by the journal authority or to the particular institution, then you will lose 2 successive annual increment, and you are not supposed to supervise any master student, MPhil student, and PhD student for a period of up to 3 years. So this is a new regulation 2018 which is in force. But which one is not plagiarism? A particular quoted things which is available in the public domain, if you take all necessary permission. If some reference, bibliography, the terms, the table of content, the preface and acknowledgement, if you're writing thesis, particularly for those who are writing thesis, reference, bibliography, table of content, and preface, these are not fall under the category of plagiarism. A small similarity, like name of your institution, like standard deviation, ANOVA, structured equation modeling, SPSS, all those terms are similar. So these minor changes, you can, the generic terms, law, standard symbols, standardization equation, like regression equation, multiple regression, all those equations are similar in nature. So you cannot avoid. So these are all should be excluded for the purpose of calculation of plagiarism if you use authenticate and Turnitin. Okay. Now it is being recommended by the UGC that every department institution, they must have a 2 type of panel who look after this plagiarism. One is the departmental academic integrity panel and one is institutional academic integrity panel. They are responsible to look after this plagiarism issue of their respective department if the department have their master's program, MPhil program as well as PhD program, and it is must. Step 11 is a journal is predatory. If it is a journal is predatory, that means they have not adopted a real peer review process. They are just taking your money and sending you the mail that yes, within 24 hours you are getting a reply mail that your paper has been accepted for publication. They are just seeking for money. Okay. Now, how you can check that whether it is a predatory journal or not? You just check the Bell's list. Bell's list. Okay, but the Bell's list now defunct now. Defunct, it is not active now. So, but still Bell's list is very good in providing information to all. Okay. Otherwise, from the Bell's list, you can check all Indian journals which are predatory in nature, which are fake. Okay. And also what you can do, if the particular name of the journals are not in Bell's list, you can check the Cable International From the Cable International, you will get a list of pediatric journals across globe. Then you can check before you submit your paper in that particular journal. Okay. Now, is the journal is legal? Check the following thing, but not a predatory. If it is not a predatory, then it must be legal. If it is legal, check that whether it is listed in a DWAJ, okay, Aldrich Periodical Directory, Open Access Scholarly Publishing Association. Okay, so if these are three things, if these are listed in any one of them or any other standard indexing journal, automatically they are not fall under the category of illegal. Okay, so this is step 12 for checking the legality of the journal. Now, this part is very important that we have to check the impact factor. Sometimes we have seen that impact factor is 10, 20, 30. Actually, these are all wrong. It's no falsification. Better you check the impact factor from the two important things: journal rank, Thomson Reuters Journal Citation Report, Thomson Reuters Journal Citation Report, and Elsevier Shimago Journal Rank and rank. If you check, automatically you will check the journal rank as well as their impact factor. Okay. Step 14, that is it recognized by a body and accredited by a particular agency, whether where you are submitting your paper, whether it is being enlisted in Scopus, whether it is listed as Web of Science, ABTC, UGC Care, A or B, and ICI, Indian Citation Index. If these are there, automatically it is considered to be legal. Okay, otherwise you have to check twice and thrice before you submit your own original manuscript to a particular authority or institution for the purpose of publication. How long is the peer review process? Find the total publication time. That the time of sending the paper initially, the time of getting the paper for further modification, again resubmission of your paper, and then again get the feedback from your chief editor about that whether it's finally accepted or not. The total time is being considered as the total publication time. How is the total publication time? Okay, for the Scopus journal, if it is paid 3 to 4 or 6 months or more than that. But if it's unpaid, it takes more than 1 year and more than 1.5 years for the purpose of publication. Okay, rate the submission guideline. Most of the cases, what happened when we are submitting our paper in a conference or national, international, we never bother about to read the instruction what they have given. We write off our own, submit the paper in our own way. Okay, but author's instruction and submission guideline is mandatory to read. Okay, before you submit. Now you do the editing process of your own as per the instruction which is given. Now check the another thing. Prepare your ethics review certificate as per the recommendation of the COPE and the WEM. If you're writing a papers for the medical journals, then automatically you have to follow the rules and regulation, laws and bylaws as directed by WEM. But generally for social science, we generally follow the COPE, Committee on Publication Ethics. Read the ethics guideline for the respective journal and prepare your paper accordingly. Otherwise, don't send your paper there. Revise it and submit your paper for UGC Care, Journal, Scopus, and Web of Science. Some other things. Okay, for citation and reference, you can use Enago, EndNote, Zotero, RefWork, and BiblioShiny, bibliometric analysis. If you try to write your citation and reference, you can use Enago, EndNote, Zotero. Zotero is very effective, and BiblioShiny is very effective for bibliometric analysis. Okay, if you try to use plagiarism detection tool, my suggestion, you can use Authenticate and turn in officially. You can use Viper, which is a very effective for a new breed of researcher. You can also check paper rater and duplicator for checking your paragraph wise plagiarism part. Okay. Now, next part is journal database, where from you get the database of the journal. If you have an EBSCO host is there, you can from the EBSCO you will get all different type of wide variety of journals available in EBSCO. The very rich source of collecting science data. You can get it from Scopus, and you can also get it from the Google Scholar Advanced Search. Not in only Google Scholar Advanced Search. Okay. Now, in which academic platform you want to share your paper once it was published finally? Better you share your paper in academia, ResearchGate, and SSRN. But before you share your paper in SSRN, please take the permission from the publishing house or editor that whether you are getting the permission from the editor that you are uploading the paper in the SSRN. If you receive the permission from the authority that yes, you are allowed to upload your paper in SSRN, then only you can upload your paper in SSRN. But if you have your institutional SSRN ID, then automatically all the faculty members can upload their papers, but not full papers, but the papers like working paper or monograph in SAIARD automatically. I think up to this is okay. Because I have so many things to say. We have a reference writing process, citation process, so many things. I think that 4 is, I think, very close. If you have any question, you can ask me. Or if you allow me another 10 to 15 minutes time, then I can complete the reference and the style as per the 7th American Psychological Association 7th edition is concerned. Okay, it is, I am seeking permission from the people who are participating here right now. Can I do that, or I'm just ending my session here? Because I have so many things, I cannot say all those things within an hour.
Yes,
So,
sir, you
Yes,
can
sir.
do that.
Yes, sir. You may continue.
I can continue. Okay, thanks. I try my level best to give you one of the latest information covering this academic American Psychological Association 7th edition is concerned, which is totally new. No such. Okay. Now, if we apply the American Psychological Association, which was earlier, we have followed the 6th edition. This is very much pertinent for all scholars, faculty members, as well as for all researchers, because we somehow, when we are hurried to write a paper, we never follow an appropriate way of referencing. Whatever you are writing, if you follow an APA style, automatically for the other style, like email style or Chicago style or any other style, that automatically it becomes very easy for you to change, or as per the recommendation of the other journals criteria. Okay, now please go through all the points very manually, because there are so many changes being made by the 7th edition of APA style is concerned. When you're writing reference at the end of your thesis or at the end of your paper, right in the middle, center heading title reference. Okay, center heading title of reference you have to write, not on the left hand side, justified. Okay, you have to source all the source, starting from books, ebook, journal, article, online source in alphabetic order, not separately. Sometimes when you're writing dissertation, MPhil or PhD, we have written books, edited books, journal, e-journal, articles online, no one, bibliography, absolutely wrong concept, actually. As per the new 7th edition, all things you have to incorporate in only alphabetic order, starting from A to Z. Okay. Now, order of alphabetical by the surname of the author, not from the first name of the author. Okay, list of work with no author. If you have a particular paper when the name of the author is not there, you have to start with the title. Then title comes first. Okay, then the author's name will not come first. Okay, author's name, if it's not available, then you have to start with the title. Always use double spacing. It is now being recommended by the APA in the 7th edition that you have to adopt the double spacing throughout your entire way of writing. Okay. Note that all reference in APA with a full stop, except when the reference ends on URL with a DOI. Like at the end of your reference, you must have to give a full stop. In most of the cases, I have seen that we have written a particular reference, we have never given a full stop. But if you are using along with this particular reference, a URL or DOI, digital object identifier, at least at the end of this URL and the DOI, you have to write down the full stop. Okay. Now the word retrieve form, like you have taken something from URL or DOI, are not only used when a retrieval date is that we often write now the retrieve from this particular source, HTTP in that way. Okay, and then we have to write date. Okay. At that time, what happened? The word retrieve from are not only used when a retrieval date is also provided in the citation. You cannot write retrieve right now if you're using the date. If you're not using the date, then you have to write down the retrieve form. Okay. Now this is a minor change is made in APA style 7th edition. Hanging indent. This one is very important. Like what is hanging indent? Actually, when you are writing your reference, your first line starting from the left and justified. After that, there is a gap of 5-7 space. Then the remaining line will start. You got my point? You are writing your particular reference at first line from left and justified, and then for the second line, if you are continuing your reference, you have to keep a 5-7 space, 5 to 7 space. Okay, and how you can do that? You can use this hanging indent concept throughout your reference by using this control key with the letter T. If you make a simultaneously control key with T, automatically you can make this hanging indent. Okay, now font size, which font you will apply for your APA style of writing for your dissertation article. Now APA style has become more more elaborate in the context that you can adopt any style. starting from Calipari, Arial, 10-point Lucid, and 12 Roman, which is very common, and 11-point Georgia. Most of the cases they have recommended 12 now, Times New Roman 12, Arial 11, Calipari 11, and Georgia 11. But provided when you're writing paper, when you're writing dissertation, please consult your guide for font size. Okay. There is no difference right now between the general book, textbook, hard book, and e-book, or for a book you have consulted through Kindle. Okay, there is no difference. Okay, next one, when you're writing see, this part is very important. Point number 3, everyone just take a major look into the matter. Journal DOI now being displayed as a DOI.org URL instead with the DOI. Don't previously what we have written DOI, then semicolon, and then we write down the link. Now you have to write http:/:DOI. That is the entire link that you have to write. Earlier we have to write DOI in that way. That is the form of 6th edition, red, and the blue color is the current edition. Okay. Another major changes is being made in the APS style, that publisher location, whether you have consulted a particular book from Macmillan London or Macmillan India, it is not necessary here. Only just write down the name of the publisher, Macmillan. But previously in the 6th edition, we are writing New York, India. Now it is totally abolished from this particular. Now, next another changes is made in the figure. When you are writing figure, you have to write the figure in the middle or in the left hand justified, then name of the figure. You have to write down the name of the figure. If you've taken something from an open access journal, then Creative Commons license or the copyright you have to incorporate. Like I have given an example. HTTP dot the particular name of the picture, a particular animal picture, and then CC, Creative Commons license. That is necessary. You have to incorporate this Creative Commons license. Okay. Now, from 7th edition onwards. Previously, it is not necessary. Right now, you have to incorporate this. Important. Okay. Now, general guidelines. If you've taken something from open access journal. Okay. From when reprint the figure, adapting, like how you will write. Okay, in respect of when you are taking something from a journal article with having a Creative Commons license, how we start? We start with the surname first, if you can remember. If we start with the surname first, then comma, then name of the first name, initial, full stop, then within bracket, year of publication, then the title of the journal, title case and in italic, journal title must be in italic. Okay, then volume must be in italic, but issue number is not in italic, it is in rounded bracket. Again, I'm repeating, name of the article not in italic, journal title in italic, volume number in italic, but the issue number not in italic. Okay, now the page number, if you have a page number. Okay, then DOI URL, then full stop, or then CC, Creative Commons license. In that way, you have to write the reference. Okay, in that way. Okay, now how we arrange? See the way of referencing. Again, I have given in a very simplified way. Last name, comma, first name, abbreviation, year, name of the title of the paper, journal title in italic, volume italic, number and issue number in not in italic, page range of article, DOI present as hyperlink, and then full stop. Okay, red colors are in italic. This is the way we have to write for reference. Okay, like I have shown an example. Okay, like journal article. I have written one article and then name of the journal, volume number. Then these are the issue number and the page number, then full stop. Okay. Similarly, for the other papers, we have written in that way. Now, referencing an idea. In case of referencing an idea, surname of the author and then date. Okay. Referencing and quotation. Now, this part becomes a very important. Now, quotation. Can I quote? Yes, you can quote. Okay. Now, there are two types of quoting you can do in as per the 6th and 7th edition is concerned, but there is a minor change. Okay. Now, the thing is that if your quotation word, you are quoting someone who is less than 40 words, short quote, more than 40 words, long quote. If you are using short quote, automatically what happened? You have to narrate the quote. If you are using two types of things, narrative quote and parenthesis quote, parenthetical quote. If you are using narrative quote, then you start with the surname of the author, then within a first bracket, you never use third bracket or second bracket in any way in APS style 7th edition is concerned. Okay, then the observation within 40 words. But if you use parenthetical quote, actually the term parenthetical quote means you are writing the reference at the end of the quotation. You have to write the quote, and at the end in bracket you have to write down the surname, year, and the page number. No, or not always you have to write P. You can also write only 82. There is no problem. You can write page, or you can P.82, or you can only write 82. That is for long code. For the short code, for the long code, more than 40 words, then actually what happened? You have to keep a separate paragraph, make the entire thing double space and in italic form. And in the right hand side, you have to definitely use this parenthetical code, not the narrative code in respect of long code. You have to use parenthetical code, not the narrative code in respect of longer code, more than 40 words. Okay. Now, arrangement of the citation in respect of book, citing a source within a source. Okay. Halliday 1987 cited in Unsworthy 2004. Actually, I am looking for this Halliday 1987 book. I have not got the particular paper. I have got the paper of Unsworthy in 2004. Unsworthy quoted Halliday Halliday paper in page number 15. So how I write? I will first write the original paper and then write down cite it in the paper that I have used. Unsworthy 2004 page number
Dr.
15.
Dotto,
Yes.
Dr. Dotto, sorry to interrupt you. Professor Roy Chaudhary has joined from IIT
Okay.
Mandi, and he has another meeting from 5:10. So, if it is possible, just conclude your session. Then we will
Yeah,
go
I
for
can conclude. Okay, I think the reference part is more or less over. So that is why I've taken a permission from the authority that can I continue?
Sir has another meeting at 5:10. That's why
Yeah. I think all of you have
and you
enjoyed
also
the
stay.
particular session.
You also
Maybe.
stay. You also stay because at the end of the session we have a concluding session at the question answer session there. Then if any participants will ask, then you can also.
The thing is that I have a meeting right now after the end of this session because
Then
parallelly
it's
our
okay.
exam is also going on.
Okay.
So
Then
if you
it's
allow
okay,
me
sir.
to if you have any question, at least 1 or 2 minutes.
Yes, sir. Datta Sahab, it's a wonderful session by you. We are enjoying your session very much. You have made all the things related to research, especially the references, because our students they always face this problem of citation. But sir, could you give me in a very hurriedly manner? I'm asking this question. I should not. I'm really sorry because time is running very fast. Sir, what is the basic difference between MLA style sheet and APA format? Could you throw some light on it? I will be really thankful to you, sir. It's a wonderful session, sir. Thank you again, sir.
Yeah, actually, if you can apply MLA, there it is for some special disciplines, okay. But APA is applicable for all. If you can write a paper by covering the APA style, for the rest of the papers, when you are sending a paper for a particular journal or for a particular conference, if they demand a specific style of writing, you can automatically change on major portion covered by the APA. For the others, only they make a minor change. They just keep the year at the end in the parenthetical. Okay, like we are keeping the 2017 at the after name of the first initial of the first name. The year it is keeping by the particular journals at the end. Only there's some slight difference. If you follow APA, you can cover all type of style a much more easier way. So please ask your students or ask your researcher, follow this APA style and or then customize it before they submit a paper in a particular journal. I think this is the best possible way they can manage the entire paper in their own way, more lucidly.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Sumanto Dotto, for your wonderful presentation, and we are greatly illuminated by your explanation. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot.
So now, just a minute. Okay, so we now proceed on to our second speaker of the day, who is Dr. Shubhajit Roy Chaudhary, the Assistant Professor of IIT Mandi.
Sorry, currently I'm an associate professor.
Assistant Professor of IIT Mandi, and Dr. Shubhajit Roy Chaudhary was born on August 27, 1981. He completed his PhD from the Department of Electronics
and Telecommunication Engineering, Jadavpur University in the year 2010. He is currently an assistant professor at the School of Computing and Electrical Engineering, Indian Institute of Technology, Mandi, and previously he also served as an assistant professor at the Center of VLSI and Embedded System Technology, IIT Hyderabad. He has also taught at Jadavpur University in the capacity of a lecturer from 2006 to 2010. He is a senior member of Institute of Electrical and Electronics Engineers, IEEE, member of VLSI Society of India, ACM, and a life member of Indian Statistical Institute. He is also awarded the Young Engineers Award 2012-13 by the Institution of Engineers, India, for his outstanding contribution in the field of electronics and telecommunication engineering. I would request Dr. Shubhajit Roy Chaudhary to deliver his speech on interdisciplinarity in research. Dr. Roy Chaudhary, over to you.
Thank you, Dr. Roy Chaudhary. Only a small correction in my introduction. I'm currently an associate professor at IIT Mandi, not assistant professor. Anyway, I would like to make my lecture in a bit interactive mode, which means that during the course of my lecture, anybody has the right to ask me questions, break me at any point and ask me questions. Also, I would prefer that I'll perhaps spend the first 35 to 40 minutes of my lecture with the slides. And then I would like to portray my own journey from engineering into a very interdisciplinary kind of field, and how we develop the interdisciplinary field over time. That actually gives a good glimpse of how to develop interdisciplinarity in the research. Dr. Bishwajit Roy Chaudhary has already given a good introduction of myself, which is reasonably detailed enough. So currently I work at IIT Mandi in the School of Computing and Electrical Engineering, and primarily work in the area of biomedical systems, which is essentially the interdisciplinary area of its kind, fusing the areas of electrical engineering, some computer science, some biomedicine. So essentially, it's actually there is a reasonably good interdisciplinarity in the research. Now, since the lecture is on interdisciplinarity in research, I would rather first start with a very fundamental terminology. What do we really mean by a discipline? So discipline is something with which we are more conversant with, something punishment or to punish, rather than so it's actually some kind of a very negative word that tingles in our mind. Whereas if you see the root word from which this discipline came, that is the Latin word disciplina, which means to learn. So that is actually used in a very positive sense, that is to learn or to teach is something for which this discipline came. So when we talk of a particular discipline, we actually refer to learning of a particular body of knowledge. Whereas we quite often use this word discipline, that if some kid does some mischief, or if some student does something wrong, then we find out ways of giving punishment to the student to enforce or to make him learn what is really meant by the don'ts to the student. So rather, I mean, we must all agree that this has become a part and parcel of our society, of teaching our kids more with don'ts rather than with do's, and which actually brings a very negative mindset in the minds of the kids from the childhood that this is something they should not go for, rather than these are the things that they should go for. And that actually also has a very bad reflection as they grow up, and when they are asked to explore new fields of its kind, badly reflects. So when we actually teach in the class and we try to encourage students to explore multiple disciplines and have reasonably good interdisciplinarity in their research, most of the students normally object. So this is their, so there is a small comfort zone. Say some student comes from a electronics background, electronic circuits background, even something like electronic device seems to be something away from his or her area of interest, and typically likes to reject that. Now, coming to something like biomedical, which actually imbibes within it body of knowledge from so many fields. When I talk to my students and ask them to learn this or that to do the research in the biomedical engineering area, there's the usual answer is that, sir, I'm trained in only this thing. Can we formulate the problem such that I get limited by this small domain? The problem is that we have now come to an era at which if you really want to do something good or great, it is not possible to restrict yourself to the limits and boundaries of a particular discipline, but have sufficient interdisciplinarity in your outlook and in your approach. Otherwise, I mean, the quality of research doesn't go beyond a certain threshold of quality. So if you see the way by which learning and teaching used to go yesterday's, then the physics teacher used to teach physics, and the students used to restrict themselves within hardcore physics without even talking of anything chemistry even. So similarly, the chemistry teacher used to teach of chemistry, and then the people used to feel that, okay, the chemistry is the only world they should spend the rest of their life in, and it's not possible to step an inch out of the domain of chemistry. Same is the case with biology, maths, economics, psychology, and so on. So people of yesterday's used to be very much focused, very much restricted within the boundary worlds of their own discipline, and their training process. I know there are some senior professors present out here. With all my due honor to them, so most of the training used to center around the within the limits and boundaries of the particular discipline with which the particular person used to be concerned with. Now, so this has worked reasonably well till 90s or at most early 2000s. But now we have come to an era at which so many PhDs are coming out and so much of research is going on across the different parts of the globe that if you really want to do some, have a good contribution to your research, not just publishing some papers and submitting a book of 150 or 200 pages, I mean, the PhD thesis. If you really want to do something which is having a good impact in the society after your PhD, then it is worthwhile not to restrict yourself to the limits and boundaries of the particular domain, but rather start interacting with the domains in and around your area. So actually now, if you see at IITs, we have actually changed the approach of our teaching and learning. So, sorry. In IITs, we have actually changed our approach of teaching and learning. So we now believe in broad-based education. And if you see now the philosophy of education being imparted at the IITs only. So if suppose you are studying electrical engineering, then electrical engineering actually constitutes only 40 to 45% of the entire coverage in your BTech. The rest, 55 to 60% is actually covered with other things like science, humanities, social sciences, then financial management, lots of other stuff with which an engineer has to interact with in his professional life, in his everyday discourse, or should even move to research. Those other areas around the electrical engineering will actually give him the necessary breadth that is needed for him to survive should he want to go for research. If you see the way the different branches of science has evolved out, then usually the social sciences exist at a very high level of abstraction where you look at the society from in a very broad general perspective. And then at a somewhat lower level of abstraction, the biology exists where you observe the world around you, what living organisms that are there and how they are interacting with themselves, how they're forming the colony or society, or how they're interacting with other creatures in the nature. But then if you really want to go deeper into it, you have to see how the physiological reactions are taking place within the organisms that are helping the organism to interact with other fellow organisms or with the nature. So that's where the role of the chemistry comes at a molecular level, at a at a chemical level, at a reaction kinetics level, and so on. But at the lowest level, you'd like to see what is the interaction between the different forces. What is the interaction between the different particles in the body of those organisms that is actually leading to all those things we are talking about. So that's where the physics comes. So physics is actually existing at the ultimate level of abstraction. Now, if you see so essentially, if you see this Venn diagram, physics is essentially a part of this chemistry, which is again a part of this biology, which is again a part of the social sciences. So this actually gives a very inclusive model by which we can see that every branch of science essentially forms a part of every, some branch of science forms a part of some other branch of science, which we were so much worried with respect to interacting between the different fields. Now, rather than going for something very restrictive of its kind, why not we broaden our mind to go for an approach where we can start having interaction between different branches of knowledge. Now at IIT Mandi, the one very nice thing that has happened is that if you come to if you get some time to visit IIT Mandi, you will see that unlike most other IITs where you have a building for electrical engineering, where you have a building for mechanical engineering, where you have a building for civil engineering, and all the people belonging to a particular branch is housed within a particular building, here purposefully the institute makes a mixing way of seating arrangements. That means if I consider my office, my next office neighbor is a civil engineer on one side, my next office neighbor is a mathematician on the other side. So then I have another electromagnetics person after that. Then I have a financial management person after that. Then I have a communication engineer after that. So essentially, we don't really, even though we have schools, very broad schools for administrative reasons, but the schools are having very loose boundaries. And also the other thing is that we allow mixing of people from different research groups, rather not allow, not just allow, but we encourage mixing of people from different disciplines because we want to develop various interdisciplinary bodies of knowledge as an outcome of this mixing culture. Now, if you see, biology can very much has very much interacted with physics over the years, and that's how biophysics has developed. Biology has interacted with computing very much across the years, and that's how this biocomputing field has developed. Similarly, if you see this, there's also some interface between this biology and political science, how the different organisms form their colony and how they have their administration going on. In fact, it's very interesting. I have seen one research going on how the ants actually have built up their kingdom and colony. It's very interesting to see that it's much more primitive of its kind as compared to the administrative structure for human beings, which we see in different nations nowadays. So essentially, we can have very interesting solutions coming out of different disciplines essentially interacting with each other. Excuse me. Excuse me. Hey, can I extremely sorry. So, okay. So now frequently we come across these two terminologies, multidisciplinary and interdisciplinary research. So when it comes to, so frequently we use these two words interchangeably, that when we say multidisciplinary, we mean interdisciplinary and vice versa. But actually I mean, if you see the perspective with which these two words are used or originated, they're very different of its kind. So suppose let us take the field of VLSI design, and we have a computer science person working in VLSI design and an electrical engineering engineer working on VLSI design. Then when it comes to the VLSI field is very much a multidisciplinary field. The computer science person looks at the VLSI design at a higher level of abstraction, the algorithmic design, the architectural design, maybe the logic design. Whereas if you see the electrical engineer or the electronics engineer, they look at either the logic design, transistor level design, or maybe the physics of semiconductor devices, or sometimes the physics of semiconductor devices. Similarly, the physics people will look at the physics of operation of the various semiconductor devices, and below it, the material scientists will see that what are the best materials to be used for developing the different devices. But now, in case of this VLSI design, people don't really need to come out of their comfort zone. So the computer science can stay, scientist can stay happy with his notion of algorithms, notion of architectures, notion of block diagram design, and so on. He doesn't really need to focus too much on the circuit physics. Whereas when it comes to the electrical engineering student, he can very much stay happy with the electrical circuits, maybe devices. The physicists remain very happy with his domain of device physics and so on. Whereas when it comes to the interdisciplinary research, biomedical engineering is a very good example of interdisciplinary research field. There, unfortunately, this kind of paradigm doesn't work. There, one has to borrow knowledge from different bodies of existing bodies of knowledge, assimilate them, and evolve it into a new discipline. And that's the most challenging part of an interdisciplinary knowledge generation. If you see the approach with which Indian academics goes versus the so-called advanced country academics goes, so I have spent a good amount of my time in Germany and USA. And over there, when I was at Universitätsklinikum Freiburg and at Albert Ludwigs University in Freiburg, I have seen that over there, a biomedical engineer essentially has a in-depth knowledge of biology, in-depth knowledge of electrical engineering, in-depth knowledge of mechanical engineering. So all these things put together. Now you may be asking me the question that why is it possible that the students in Germany, they're able to come out of their comfort zone. So somebody who is trained in electrical engineering is able to adapt himself or herself into biomedical engineering. Whereas in India, it becomes a big challenge. The problem is that in India, we have, I mean, with all my due respects and regards, in India, we have a notion of departmental and non-departmental courses. So, I mean, if I talk of my days at Jadavpur University versus my days at IIIT Hyderabad and now at IIT Mandi, in the Jadavpur University moment when I used to teach in the ETC department, Electronics and Telecommunication Engineering department, moment I used to step an inch out of electronic devices and circuits and started talking of some algorithms or started talking of some other domain which may be related to some particular domain. Maybe even sometimes I have a huge knack for literature, so many where I make some reference to literature also. The students immediately used to start feel uncomfortable with it. So that is actually a problem that we have been trained in that manner that this is this small domain is our comfort zone. We cannot come out of it. So, and I'm not blaming the students because that is how our training starts at home. And that is how the training goes on in the school, then in the college, university, or IIT, whatever. Fortunately, we are now in IITs, we have now started realizing that this thing has to evolve if we really want to bring our students to the mainstream across the globe. And it will take years to accomplish because this thing cannot start at the undergraduate level. This thing has to start from very basic, very school level itself, that students should be encouraged with more do's and much less don'ts, or perhaps no don'ts. There are certain subjects, for example, mathematics, we know that it's basically the key to all different branches of science. So essentially, mathematics lends itself to physics, chemistry, biology, and so on. So, so essentially, when you develop mathematics, you apply it in the different fields, you actually allow an interaction between the two bodies of knowledge like this. Similarly, computer science, which is also used to support different branches of science, also lends itself to different branches of science like computational physics, computational biology, computational chemistry, and so on, where the person who does the research in those fields have to know with reasonably good depth the theory of computation, the theory of algorithms, as well as the particular body of knowledge in which he wants to apply the notion of algorithms and computation in it. So that's why this computational fluid, I don't know whether there's any computational fluid mechanics person over here. Usually these computational fluid mechanics persons, they are very good at writing algorithms for a particular class of computers or particular class of processors or even multiprocessor architectures. And they're as good as computer scientists when it comes to at least writing algorithms. Some people claim that philosophy is the mother of all sciences. And essentially, when we talk of developing a particular body of knowledge in any of these areas of science, we essentially develop the philosophy to understand a particular process or phenomena and refine our understanding about the system. And that is what is actually science is. So, so this is actually a way by which you can use your disposition about science or the philosophy of science into the different bodies of science and see how you can really evolve it and develop some deeper understanding of it or draw inferences based on some observations and experiences. Now, if you see the interdisciplinarity of bodies of knowledge, interdisciplinarity exists on the other hand in the interstices. So when it comes to this interdisciplinarity, they do not really restrict themselves to a particular field or body, but you have to start interacting with other bodies of knowledge which are related to your particular body of knowledge. An example is this cognitive science, which draws its notions from biology, because you need to know significantly about the brain, then philosophy, linguistics, computing, psychology, and so on. So essentially, there is a significant amount of interdisciplinarity involved with respect to the cognitive science. So now, although this cognitive science draws its origin from these different bodies of knowledge, it also lends itself into the different bodies of knowledge. For example, I personally work in the area of neuroscience, which is more existing at the intersection of biology and physics. But again, I have to see the effect of cognitive science on different biological phenomena and process, and what is the physics involved in it. So that's where I actually need to also go from this direction, from here to here. That means from cognitive science to biology in that direction. Similarly, a cognitive psychologist essentially draws his or her research inspiration from cognitive science and imbibes it into psychology, and so on. So essentially the exchange or interaction between bodies of knowledge takes place in both directions, not just in a unidirectional manner. Similarly, if you see another example with which we are quite well versed with, ecology, for example, it draws its notions from biology, geography, economics. Even now, this environmental management has become very important. So that's where management is coming into the picture. Political science is very important. So essentially, in fact, I was very much surprised that one of my colleagues at Imandi, she is an economist by training, but she is now working with the how to use the principles of economics for in the Himalayan region. So here she actually borrows her domain knowledge from economics and management and applies it in the fields of ecology. And I mean, this is where you can actually borrow knowledge from different bodies of knowledge and apply it in a particular field. Now coming to the BioX. BioX is actually a terminology coined by Professor Harvey Cohen from the Stanford University. And so if you see this BioX, it basically refers to the interaction of biology with other allied areas. So you have actually interaction of biology with physics, forming this biophysics, interaction of biology with chemistry, forming biochemistry, or even chemical biology. Now this is actually very interesting, right? So people talk of physical chemistry and chemical physics. So when it comes to physical chemistry, we are looking at the interaction between physics and chemistry from a chemist's perspective. Whereas when we look into the interaction of chemistry and physics from a physicist's perspective, we are calling it as chemical physics. And you see where people, physical chemists and chemical physicists typically publish in the same kind of journals. But yes, the perspective by which they see the body of knowledge is, of course, a bit different. Now, when it comes to multidisciplinary versus interdisciplinary research, in a multidisciplinary research, the main focus is towards solving the problem. So when you are actually talking of the VLSI field, you are essentially, a computer scientist is essentially talking of the algorithmic and architectural level. The electronics engineer is talking of the logic level, transistor level. The physicist is talking about the device level. The material scientist is talking about the materials to be used for the devices. But the goal is to solve how to make integrated circuits. So the goal is restricted to a small field, and usually people do not step out of their comfort zone or step out of their training area and enter into other areas. Whereas when it comes to an interdisciplinary research, you essentially find out ways by which different fields can be interacted, and that actually leads to generation of a new body of knowledge. So I actually started off as a electrical engineer. If I talk of, I'll come to my journey a bit later, and I'll say that how I've developed my field over time after this. So if I talk of my journey, I started off my journey as an electrical engineer, or more specifically an electronics and telecommunication engineer. And during the days of my master's and PhD, I used the notion of VLSI design for biomedical applications. So initially, when I joined IIIT Hyderabad, I initially restricted myself to that area. And gradually I discovered that uh, there is enough to contribute if I extend my knowledge in the biology area and have a reasonably large interaction of biology with my own comfort zone. I started, I joined IIIT Hyderabad in 2010. I started off uh, reading biology since then. Of course, I had training in biology till my +2, but after that, I was hardly using biology except for some small stuff during my master's and PhD days. But that is also very minimal. After my PhD, I actually started having some deep reading of biology. I was more of an embedded systems person. I used to work in embedded systems. Talk of a perspective view of my journey, then by 2013 or 14, there was a major shift with my focus of my work. It shifted more and more towards the biomedical area. So I started having an interaction of biomedical engineering with embedded systems, and that's how I developed the field of biomedical embedded systems. You can Google it to see my contribution in that area. So essentially now, of course, so when I actually when I started to offer that course in IIIT Hyderabad, I initially got a huge resistance, and in fact, I was told that please don't offer this kind of course Rather, you can say something like topics in embedded systems so that the name seems catchy to the people. They will feel more comfortable to join the course. Over there, you can spend some substantial amount of time talking about biomedical. In 2015, I moved from IIIT Hyderabad to IIT Mandi, and with that intent in my mind that I will develop the biomedical area. And in 2015, I actually started, and I applied to the Senate for offering a course on biomedical systems. And initially, there was a huge resistance, particularly from the student side. Biomedical, I should don't take it. It will be a plethora of biology and all that. So first time when I offered this course, there were only 3 students who registered for the course. 3 students, and the Dean Academics sent me a mail asking me to drop the course. I refused, saying that, okay, from your bookkeeping point of view, you can say that I don't have a teaching load for this course. I will teach other course to compensate for my teaching load, but I want to teach this course. Then the dean said, okay, you go ahead. I offered that course with 3 students sitting in my class, and then 2 other students dropped in. They wanted to audit the course. Audit means they need not write the examinations and they will not get any grade for it, but they can sit and listen to the lectures. Gradually, in the next year time when I offered it, that 3 got extended to 10. Then with more masters and doctoral students got interested in to take this course. And then thereafter, in the 3rd offering, I remember some 25 students took. In the 4th offering, some 35 students took. In the 5th offering, some 60 students took, and this time some 75 students are taking my course. So now, as I'm teaching the same course over and over across the years, students are also feeling that, yes, this is actually something they may, with a little bit of sacrifice of coming out of their comfort zone, they have a big playground to explore. And many of my students who have taken my course, have chosen to take a biomedical pathway in their career, and they are really doing great work sitting in the frontier universities across the globe. So now the thing is that how to become interdisciplinary. So the first thing that is needed is you need to have an exposure to variety of disciplinary work. You need to have not just restrict yourself to a particular body of knowledge, but come out of your comfort zone and start exploring different bodies of knowledge. It will take time, but have patience to explore the different bodies of knowledge. Now, once you start getting comfortable with different bodies of knowledge, see that how those different bodies of knowledge uh, can interact with your comfort zone, and that's how bring an interdisciplinarity to your work. You need to get exposure to and experience with tools and methods from a variety of disciplines. Then you need to get exposure to interdisciplinary tools and methods. And finally, the most important thing is you have to work in an interdisciplinary environment. That means if you want to develop a field on biomedical engineering, a biologist should talk to an electrical engineer, should talk to a mechanical engineer. I mean, then there should be some physicist also in the group. So essentially, it should be the group should have sufficient heterogeneity with commonality in the interest. Um, Otherwise, you cannot bring out the interdisciplinary culture. Now, in order to ensure how multiple disciplines work together, each discipline has its own way of expressing things which we call the language of the discipline. For example, a physics person will talk of force, mass, acceleration, velocity, and so on. And the chemistry person will talk of molecules, atoms, and so on. But then the molecules can get bound to each other by some force. The atoms can get bound to each other by some force. So that's where the physics and chemistry can talk to each other. Then coming to ontology, it's actually a collection of objects. Epistemology, what constitutes knowledge and how to acquire and validate it. That's very important, because unless you go for epistemology, then you cannot really validate your understandings or hypothesis. You need to have exposure to a plethora of methods and tools that will support your research. A collection of theoretical perspectives. So I normally for this the collection of theoretical perspectives, I always tell students that you start your thing with looking at textbooks in different disciplines. Once you're comfortable with the textbook, then only go for invited papers and then the journal papers. That's the way by which we can go for different things. Now, to be interdisciplinary, one must be able to be comfortable with multiple languages and shift easily among them. So that is something which is primarily very important, because unless you are comfortable with the languages of different interacting subjects, you won't be really comfortable with a particular discipline. Then you should need to be comfortable with a variety of ontologies, epistemologies, and different methods and tools for the different disciplines. Then you should be able to shift easily and continuously see different things in new ways. That is this notion of shifting perspective is extremely important, because otherwise you won't be able to evolve your field of research. And wherever possible, you can use analogies and metaphors. For example, when I use to describe stroke to my students, ischemic stroke and hemorrhagic stroke, I use the analogy of a rubber tube with water flowing through it. And that's how I explain it. Now, in order to develop an interdisciplinary field, you have to develop facility with tools and methods from different disciplines, develop facilities with new and innovative tools with multiple applicability. Because research has, as the research field also evolves, as the new body of knowledge develops, you also need to come up with innovative tools to understand the new body of knowledge better and validate it with existing tools. You have to understand the criteria of rigor and acceptability and eventually work to develop your own such criteria. So this is actually a very tough part of the journey, because when you really want to develop your own field, you initially get a huge resistance from the community. This is what we know. What you are talking is something not understandable to us. Make things acceptable and understandable to us. And you have to be an outsider to certain bodies of knowledge. And you have to have the courage to initially be an outsider to those disciplines and gradually accept it as your discipline. So if you see the joy of doing interdisciplinary research, there are lots of the current way of research actually enables you, or rather enforces you, to explore for multiple disciplines and bring sufficient interdisciplinarity in your research. You need to have the broad mind to transfer the knowledge from the lab to the real world. Because this interdisciplinarity comes mainly from the requirement of the real world. So unless you translate the knowledge from the bench to the bedside, or from the lab to the real world, it is not, or from the lab to the globe, it is not really successful at the end of the day. Research should be highly user driven and heavily applied. Of course, nowadays, pure research, restricting yourself to a small domain, that has become very much restrictive nowadays. A single discipline research has encountered a bottleneck of more than one discipline needed, and more than one discipline is needed to make a breakthrough. However, there are potential bottlenecks. Currently, as I told from in the very beginning, that our academic structures discourage interdisciplinarity in the researchers. Typically, our monodisciplinary colleagues have a very low esteem of their interdisciplinary colleagues. Typically, I'm not saying always. So some people, some physicists say that if you are not good at physics, then you start looking at the interaction between physics and biology, and that's how you become a biophysicist. I mean, those things used to work well in 80s or 90s, but not now. You initially have limited opportunities to publish your research as the results in high impact journals, but gradually as the field keeps on developing, you will see high impact journals coming in your area. And more than that, when you actually write research proposals asking for grants, typically if the referee is not sufficiently interdisciplinary in his or her outlook, they typically tend to subjugate the interdisciplinary proposals. So I actually had a very tough time for the first 3-4 years of my career. Now, of course, things have become much more easier for me, but earlier it used to be a tough journey for me. So what are the skills needed for the individual researchers working in interdisciplinary field? You have to understand the languages, methods, and cultures of the different disciplines. There will be an ambiguity between the languages of multiple bodies of knowledge, and you have to be tolerant to that and find out some way of dealing with these ambiguities. And above all, you need to have a broad mind to learn from other disciplines and imbibe it into your discipline. So now from the manager's point of view, the manager should of course be have an interdisciplinary background. He or she needs to have a respect for other disciplines, good interpersonal and team building skills. That is very much, so this team building is extremely important for interdisciplinary research, because if you see good labs across the globe working in interdisciplinary areas, they purposefully make people from different discipline come and sit together side by side, I mean, in offices close to each other, so that the interaction takes place in a very interdisciplinary manner. Proactive, you need to be proactive in engaging with other partners. You need not be too ambitious in one particular field, but rather look at different fields in a broad general manner, and you need to have an interest in a wide range of subjects. So if the research manager just gets limited to, okay, I don't want to step out of physics, it's my comfort zone, that's not possible to develop. That's not sufficient to develop interdisciplinary in the research. So towards the end, I would like to talk about the prospects of interdisciplinary research in India. So currently at IITs and other higher education institutes, we are gradually transforming our education from the earlier narrow base to a more broad-based education, where suppose someone is studying, say, electrical engineering, maybe electrical engineering constitutes only 40 to 45% of the subject matter of their BTech. The rest 55 to 60% comprises of other bodies of knowledge which the engineer may find useful at some part of his life or the other. Even we have electrical engineers who are working in some Bank of America, doing some finance analyst jobs. So essentially, now the question is that what is the electrical engineering helping? Nothing. On the other hand, given that he has taken the economics, financial management, operations research, these kinds of things, that has given him enough background to be competent enough to develop his understanding in the managerial domain, build a minor in the managerial area, and choose his track route into the managerial finance analyst field. The government is also currently encouraging a lot to do interdisciplinary research. I hope the encouragement of the government continues like that. And that actually is also encouraging a lot of people to get engaged in interdisciplinary fields. And the last but not the least thing is that there's a gradual shift from closed form to open form education. So I actually drew a lot of the things that I talked about from these two references. These are for your reference. I hope I'm pretty much on time. Thanks for your attention, and if you have any questions, I'll be happy to answer.
Thank you very much, Dr. Shubhajit Roy Chaudhary. The participants, you may post forward your question by unmuting yourself. Sonali Sarkar, if you have any query, you may ask by unmuting yourself.
Good evening, sir.
Yes, good evening.
Thank you for your lecture, sir. Actually, I am belonging from a tourism management background. I have done my master's in tourism management.
What management? Pardon me?
Tourism management.
Tools and management, okay.
Tourism, yes.
Tourism management, okay.
Yes, sir. From Banaras Hindu University. Okay.
From which university?
So, Banaras Hindu University.
Achha, BHU, okay.
Yes, sir. So I wish to pursue my PhD from there only. So I'm so much fascinated about artificial intelligence and augmented realities. So can you throw some light that how can I combine my PhD work from tourism management with AI and AR?
So one of the thing is since you are in tourism management, I understand that you have to work a lot with respect to exploring the interests of people, right?
Yes, sir.
So what kind of places people are interested to visit, how to make the travel and tourism more comfortable to the people.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. The service industry includes so many things.
So the thing is that now, given that you have your background in understanding the requirements of people, you have to find out ways by which you can formalize those requirements. And there actually, you can use the notion of machine learning borrowed from artificial intelligence, that how to use artificial intelligence to figure out the changing interest, changing mindset of people with respect to visiting different places. So if you see the perspective of tourism in, and if you have a large volume of historic data, so I mean, if I see in 70s, 80s, and 90s, people used to have a good amount of religious tourism. Now, of course, the focus has got entirely changed towards nature-based ecotourisms, right?
Yes.
If I correctly understand, I mean, with my limited understanding, I'm just saying. Now, the thing is that if you just consider this changing attitude, so you have to find out some ways by which you have to formalize this. And then given that you now have a large volume of data of how you see this tourism way back in 2000 versus how the tourism is going in 2019, you can actually develop some abstraction out of some machine learning algorithms and develop an understanding of it. And in fact, I can see a good possibility of interaction between tourism management and artificial intelligence.
But
Now,
sir,
in order to make it more convenient to the public, you can actually use virtual reality or augmented reality as tools to support your appeal to the public.
okay. Okay, sir. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Is there any question from any participants? Okay, thank you. So now I request Mrs. Kajri Sengupta to give vote of thanks for today's session.
Thank you, Arina. Today we are here for 5 days faculty development program on research methodology, and today is the 4th day of our journey. In today's session, we have 2 eminent speakers were there. First one was Dr. A. Satya of St. Xavier's College, Kolkata, talked about research paper publication and plagiarism. Talked about ethical side of research, UGC rules regarding plagiarism, penalty, etc. What kind of researchers, what things one researchers keep into mind before conducting a research is nicely explained by him. What things one should follow before writing a paper. He talked about peer review, publication process, submission guidelines, etc. Before submitting one paper, he discussed about journal database where from one scholar get journals needed. He also enriched the researchers by clearing their confusion on adding literature review. Thank you, sir. It was a very nice and informative presentation that will be really helpful to the researchers and their supervisors. Next eminent speaker was Dr. Shubhajit Roy Choudhury of IIT Mandi, talked about interdisciplinarity into research. He discussed about what is discipline and how can we combine the different domains or the mixture of different disciplines. He discussed about difference between multi and interdisciplinary research, about cognitive science, how does it merge. So I'm really grateful to you, sir. Now I'm really thankful to all the participants for every questions you asked, for every moment you spent with us. Last but not the least, I'm really thankful to Team SAIARD for conducting such an excellent, informative 5 days journey. Thank you very much of all the eminent personalities over here. Thank you, Arindam. Over to you.
We will again meet you tomorrow sharp 3 p.m. with another 2 eminent speaker. Till then, have a good day.